Today's perspective is going to be on a poke that I feel really epitomizes the whole purpose of the entire metagame. A creature that spawned the idea in the creator Satoshi Tajiri's head for the entire series. It's Heracross. And when I wonder what really made them decide to give certain pokes mega evolutions, I think about that in Japan, beetle fighting is actually a culturally really big thing. And oftentimes you can go to the pet shop when you're young and take these beetles and battle with them. So that mere idea of battling beetles progressed in Satoshi Tajiri's head further to create this whole series, which I think is pretty cool and why I wanted to revisit Heracross. I talked about him on my past series on Planet Poke, Pokemon of the Week, so you can check that out. But now he has a mega evolution. But there is some key things to talk about when knowing when to trigger the mega evolution. So I've been battling a bunch with this guy in the Battle Institute, and I've been testing out his weaknesses and what he's well suited for, which is obviously physical sweeping. You look at that massive attack stat, and it's pretty good speed. You know, you might want to attach a choice scarf in the case of not attaching a Heracronite, but we'll get to why you might want to, and leave your Heracross in this form for maybe a turn or two. But its weaknesses, it's got plenty, it's got many, and Fairy does not help it at all in this 6th generation. But that's fine. I mean, it's balances for power. This thing is massively powerful. I wouldn't be surprised with now the Mega Evolution if it would even be found in Uber tier. That's how strong it is. Its combination of Mega Horn, Close Combat, Stone Edge, Earthquake really gives it great coverage. And it's able to take out pretty much any threat except for fire types. That's the problem I keep running into, is its low speed stat. And the reason that is an issue is I don't decide to equip, say, a choice scarf and get locked into Earthquake because, hey, guess what? If your opponent catches on, they could switch out to a flying type, and then you're finished. Unless you switch, which I think it would be wise at that point to do. But the reason I keep running into issues with fire types is oftentimes they're faster. They're pokes like Typhlosion or Rapidash or something faster than Heracross. Off the top of my mind, I don't know what that would be, but I've encountered plenty, like Pyroar, even in the 6th gen. So when it's holding the Heracronite, I don't have that Choice Scarf ability, and the reason is I play with its actual abilities. I don't want to confuse you, but the effect of the item was what I was referring to. The ability is Moxie or Guts, and both of those are great. Now, what Guts does, if you truly intend on keeping this Heracross in this form, is if you get inflicted with some sort of status, your attack power goes up 50%. But the other option, and especially good when you consider if you set up properly your sweeping territory for Heracross, Moxie. And Moxie is probably the top reason I continue to hold on to the Heracronite, because you can sweep 1 or 2 pokes early on. One sweep makes the next sweep easier, and if you have not been introduced to Moxie, well, it's a fantastic ability that was introduced in the 5th gen, and it will increase your attack power every time you defeat a poke. So you see why this is so surmountable on a sweeper, because one sweep turns into another sweep, turns into the entire game by the end if you have enough super affecting powers. Now, your opponent will probably switch something to block that Heracross, but if that's the case, you can retract it. But the key is knowing when to use Heracronite, because its abilities will change. The main thing to pay attention to during Mega Heracross's evolution is its ability shift to Skill Link. Now, what Skill Link does is it assures that all moves that have the potential to hit 5 times meet their maximum potential. Hey, what a good thing for this series, eh? And that it hits 5 times guaranteed. So moves such as Pin Missile, Bullet Seed, Arm Thrust, and Rock Blast would all fall under these categories. And the power you're looking at between them all except for Pin Missile, is 125 base power, which is not anything to shake a stick at. If you remember, Close Combat, which actually diminishes our stats, has 120 base power. Arm Thrust, being skill linked, has 125. Pretty freaking potent. And Pin Missile only unfortunately gets to 75, being starting out with a 15 base power and then multiply that by 5, and that's what you get. So unfortunately, Pin Missile is the only move that I would say does not get a benefit from its ability change. So instead of having Pin Missile, I merely wanted to place it on there so you know I didn't miss any of the possibilities for skill linking to be activated. I would really replace Pin Missile, however, with Mega Horn, just because it makes more sense and it's a stronger move. Knowing pure stats, it isn't going to matter whether or not you have skill link. And the next set, which depends on you changing to skill link at a certain time, could benefit in a previous turn to already upgrade Mega Horn and then further help your onslaught. Oftentimes when I was testing in the Battle Institute in Lumio City, you should definitely check that place out if you're looking to train a metagame team really quickly and work out the kinks without having to verse people online and suffer dignity loss if that's a thing to you. But one of the biggest mistakes I made was Mega Evolving Heracross immediately when it gets on the field. Now, it does get slower, and that's not a problem for the attack power and nice boost to defense that it gets. So the key things here to look at are the base stats changing and ability. The moves, the effort value ranges, they're going to stay the same. It's always going to be a physical sweeper. I would never leave this thing out on the field as a defensive anything. I mean, you could go a little bit bulkier, but I don't really see that working. The thing with Heracross is it doesn't have fantastic defenses to begin with. The Mega Evolution definitely helps that, but it's got too many weaknesses to wall anything, and it's more geared for sweeping anyway. So the combination of Moxie with Mega evolving at the right time is pivotal, because once you do, you'll get Skill Link. And while it's a cool ability to have, it doesn't do you any good for sweeping and compounding attack boosts without even having to use something like a Bulk Up or a Swords Dance. That's the beauty of having Moxie on a set like this that is able to Mega Evolve, because you can power it up and then go Super Saiyan mode. It's pretty crazy, and I do wonder what other Pokemon might get a Mega Evolution. So before we end off this episode, let me just mention the other options that are available to you. Shadow Claw I found very useful in taking out any ghosts that came on the field. Anything that was trying to use Hypnosis, though, and was successful, sometimes I ran into that with Gengar, tending to be a little bit faster somehow, or with a Quick Claw. Whatever the case may be, Sleep Talk is pretty awesome, because that allows you to stay on the field. You don't have to switch out. You don't have to ruin your switches, because usually when you're forced to switch, it's not the most opportune. And if you're trying to preserve something like a Heracross, and it gets put to sleep, and it can't attack, you're in trouble. And Night Slash would be kind of the same scenario with Shadow Claw, except you have the ability to get better critical hits, so probably go with Night Slash in the end, wouldn't you? Well, I've been DeoGenZ, and I hope you've enjoyed this Heracross rehashing. It's really an awesome poke. It's amazingly, massively attacking powered. And I have won probably 28, close to 30 win streaks at the, I'm forgetting what it is, but whatever the battle factory is in that other land. I'm slipping my mind in X and Y. It's not the Battle Institute. But I've been winning entirely awesome streaks with Heracross leading. It's a great lead, but sometimes if the only reason I've been leading with it is because of the 3 limit restriction, you're only allowed to have 3 pokes in that scenario. But if you're allowed to have 6 and you got more leg room to spread, definitely try setting the field up for your Heracross. Set arena traps if you can, set stealth rocks, do paralyzation if possible, and try to switch in on something that's it's going to resist, like maybe poison or fighting or another bug type move. And when it comes across those moves, it doesn't have such horrible defenses that it will fade away. So, depending on what your team situation is, doesn't matter. Heracross should be on your team. It is top tippity-top tier, and the Mega Evolution just makes it even more so. So let me know below in the comments, have you battled with Heracross before? And also, which Mega Evolutions would you like to see? I feel like a video is in order for the new Alpha and Omega announcement and what Mega Evolutions I would predict and hope to see. So, which Mega Evolutions would you like to see and why? What would the significance be? Definitely, you could see the significance with Heracross and Pinsir, two beetle-like Pokemon that Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of the series, probably battled with in his youth. So, of course, they need to be Mega Evolved. But I want to know what you think below. So, comment, and remember to share this video for your chance to win a shiny on episode 10. And if you're not familiar with how that works, I recommend checking out episode 1 of this series, and I explain it in detail. So I'll see you next week.